Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of this year's Warrior Women Wednesdays. My name is Annie, and I am the Engagement and Operations Manager at Calling All Crows. Before we get started, I am going to do a land acknowledgement. I am coming to you live from Chicago, Illinois, which is the ancestral lands of the Odawa, Potawatomi, and Ojibwe nations. Super excited to have everyone back for our second week of Warrior Women Wednesdays. If you're not aware, we do this in collaboration with the incredible Return to the Heart Foundation every Wednesday in November. So this is week 2. If you missed week 1, that episode is going to be on the Calling All Crows and Return to the Heart's Facebook page. I will let Gina and Tiana from Return to the Heart get into what their organization does in just a second. But if you're not familiar with Calling All Crows work, we are a nonprofit that works to engage music fans, artists, and music venues and festivals with different movements for feminist justice and equality. So we're super excited to be back with Return to the Heart. They are an incredible organization that uplifts and supports Native women and girls. And we have some incredible speakers that Gina has organized for this week that I'm so excited to hear from. And we are just so grateful for this partnership with them. So thank you all for being here on this Wednesday with us. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Gina.
Uhagani, Nia Nadavinya. Hi, I'm Gina Jackson. I am the co-founder and CEO of the Return to the Heart Foundation, a foundation that was created by Native women for Native women and girls. I am Western Shoshone and Oglala Lakota on the lands of the Pyramid Lake Paiute people in a small little border town called Fernley, Nevada. And I'm excited that we get to have this partnership again. It's been one of our favorite partnerships to really lift up the voices of Native women. And this particular episode for in this series is about big dreams. So we have some really amazing speakers, which we'll introduce very shortly. But if you're new to Return to the Heart, it's all about investing in the life givers, in the culture bearers, in the Native women who are building and reviving and healing our Native communities. Women are a very powerful force. We are the heart of our nations. And to be able to support and uplift and invest in is what we are all about. And I'll pass it to Tiana.
Pila maya madakipi chantewashde nebe chiuzapi Tiana spotted thunder imachiapi nala kolia tashiak muka hoashtemi hemia ogwala emataha dayawa chianka piksto dayaya hi piksto. Glad you made it in today to watch our second episode. My name is Tiana Spotted Thunder, and I am the intern for the Return to the Heart Foundation. And I am really excited to be here. I come from the Oglala Lakota people, and my Indian name is Good Voice Meadowlark Woman. And I just happy to see everybody. So we do have two incredible speakers that I will introduce. The first two speakers are Jenn Harper from Cheekbone Beauty and Kinsale Drake from the Indian Girls Book Club.
And I'm excited that we also will have on today Natalie Stites Means from the Coup Council, which is a Lakota woman-led and Two-Spirit-led organization with a big vision to support Native people. And then also Ruth Anna Buffalo, who, if you don't know, you would be honored to know her. She's an amazing woman who has a path that has been about always trying to make a difference and being a voice. And so excited to have her here today and to tell us about her new work that she's with the Minnesota Indigenous Women's Resource Center. And then finally, we have Haley Laughter, who's from Hojo Yoga, who basically is going to close us out in a really good way and tell us about her exciting work and the cultural sharing and cultural connections, and really being rooted in our and invested in our own healing. She's going to lead us through a breathing breathwork exercise, and it's something that I will just be so grateful for, especially in this stressful time. So thank you all for being here today.
Wonderful. Thank you both, Gina and Tiana. I am so, so, so excited for this week's episode. It's going to be much needed. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it.
Hi, Jen. Welcome to Warrior Women Wednesday. We are so glad that you're here with us today. I was just honored to have met you last month in Las Vegas at the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women, Girls, and Two-Spirit People seminar that United Natives did. That was just such a beautiful event. And to be able to hear from you and your personal story, it was just so amazing. And this month for November, it's Native American Heritage Month, and we're just so glad to be able to feature Native women warriors who are out there making a difference and doing their thing. And we're just so happy that you're here with us today.
Oh, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to meet you. I often find myself in these rooms and spaces where I get to connect with so many other incredible Native women that are just, everyone's just working on their thing. And I think it's so empowering to so many of us.
Yes, I think that's really amazing, and it's so good that I get to meet you virtually. I love your brand. It's amazing. So I want to know, tell me about your journey and how you got started.
Yeah, definitely not the typical path into entrepreneurship. I had an actual like pop out of bed middle of the night dream with three native little girls. They were covered in lip gloss. They had brown skin, rosy cheeks, and all I remember that evening when I woke up was their giggling and laughing. And I feel like to this day, I think we work really hard as a brand to like bring giggling and laughing back to the world in some way. And fast forward, obviously have this dream and then set out on this path to figure out how to enter the beauty space, which is probably one of the most competitive landscapes it feels like in business on the planet. I know all business is competitive, but really saw, I think, a gap in the market when it came to the kind of products we're all using and putting on our skin. And for us at Cheekbone, it was really about thinking deeply about how things are made, where they're made, and how they're impacting not only humans and the planet. I know in the beauty space, there's a term called clean beauty. There's really no global or regulatory body that defines what that means. So, as a brand, we define that for ourselves. But what's really unique and special about Cheekbone is that we sought out to really stand out as separate in the marketplace. There's not a lot of native owned beauty brands in the space, and we really want to own this category. We want the word Indigenous beauty to be synonymous with sustainability. It's how our ancestors have behaved for generations. It's how our communities really work hard, and it's innately within us, and we have this real sense of responsibility to land, air, water, sea, all of these gifts from the creator. And we as a business and me personally want to do whatever we can to protect that. And so I think that's what gives us the unique position in the marketplace, but also is sort of the path we went down. So I have this dream. Of course, going from dream to where we are now as the kind of brand we are was many years of ups and downs and loads of mistakes, and unfortunately a ton of trauma because of my family's history and background. But really recognizing that. I think we as humans, and we just have so much more power maybe than we believed we had. And it's once you start believing that, then you can see these incredible changes happen in your lives.
Yeah, that's amazing. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you got ready? Like, did you feel prepared at that time, or what were some of the steps that helped you the most? Was it one of the things that I've heard a lot is like gathering that circle, that supportive circle around you that have all the folks who have expertise about things that you may or may not know about. So it's not all just on your shoulders.
Yeah, exactly. One, I feel like becoming a part and surrounding myself with multiple Native women organizations and networking groups, that was critical because when you talk about your circle, these are the people, and in particular, these are mostly women that I can go back to and lean on from various industries, not just, you're right, in being in the beauty industry, but other Indigenous women who really just wanted to uplift me and the brand and see us succeed. And they're still here today. And that was critical. And then as we were building and as we were entering into the beauty space, it was really finding people within the industry too that really believed in what we were doing and wanted to see us succeed as well. And not everyone, the truth is, in those spaces want you to succeed or be successful, but you can really feel it in your gut when you do find the right people. And it might take a little longer than we anticipate, but there is, that was a big part of the those early years as well. It's like finding the right people in the industry that wanted to support Cheekbone Beauty, and we did, and we're really grateful for, having these groups of circles that we can lean on when we need support.
Wow. That was amazing. I loved hearing all of that. It's so inspirational to me and really heartfelt. And you're so sincere with your intent and all of that. I think that's it's like really good for me. And then I took a lot from that just now. And um I just want to know what advice would you give to other Native women with big dreams?
Yeah, I think the piece of advice I tend to give regularly because I feel it to be really powerful is just this whole idea of consistency. Every day it's not going to be easy, right? Like life is hard, it throws things at us. But I always looked at it like, okay, if I wake up every day and I do something, like one thing to work on Cheekbone Beauty, it's going to push the brand forward. And I've just been doing that for the last 8 years since we've been in existence, and recognized that it's not like one big moment that makes something successful. It's this, like, compound interest. It's the years of putting in that work and being consistent about working on the brand. And I feel like consistency, I personally feel like it is so underrated. So, like, if you just do that one thing every single day, you're going to achieve, you're going to get somewhere, and you're going to build something. Like, something has to come out of that. That's like, it's literally like science, right? Like, nothing, like, if you're working on that thing, it's gonna move forward. And so just don't give up and be consistent, because the only way it's not going to work is when we give up. Like, we're the sort of the fuel that needs to continue to work on the thing. So if we don't give up, whether it's on ourselves or on the industry, then we can keep going. It's going to be successful.
Mm. Love that advice. And it translates to everything too. I mean, even our own work and school, whatever we're doing, just like show
Yeah.
up every day and keep doing, the same thing over and over, whether that's, reading, writing, studying,
All
um,
of it. Yeah.
all of it. Yeah, that's such good
And
advice.
I mean, I left this part out, but I do, and because I think some friends always give me trouble for saying this, but like, I don't have any great skill set. Like, do you know, like, honestly, I'm just a regular girl, regular woman. And so I think my whole life I believed you had to have some unique, great, grand set of skills. Like, obviously, if I was going to be a basketball player, I would need skills to do that. But like, this was like building something, and you then, once you're in the space, like you said, it's like, who did you surround yourself with? Well, you found the people that had the skills that you, where you may be lacking, like, that will all come into play. But it's not like we have to be these extraordinary people that, maybe it's just me, but I grew up believing like anyone that had some form of success in this sort of world's term of what that means, you felt like they had something special or unique, and they really don't. They're just a regular human being like you and I.
Mm. Yeah, no, I would be with your friends and say, nope, you are absolutely amazing and special. But it also, I hear the point that, we maybe all have some gifts that whether they're uncovered, whether it's perseverance, whether it's hard work, or it's just a dream, that we can all be successful, if we just follow, our hearts, follow our spiritual path, and,
Mm.
and do, all that we can do. We don't have to do it alone, that we can, reach out and build our circle and be strong together. And thank you, because, sharing this story, I feel like is just, going to reach so many people, and it's encouraging to us. And I know it's encouraging to those who are going to be watching today.
Thank you for having me.
And for folks who want to learn more about your products, where can they go?
Yeah, so our website, which is cheekbonebeauty.com, you can find us also at jcpenney.com and then sephora.ca in Canada.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
Hi, Kinsale. Thanks for joining us. For those that don't know Kinsale, she is the founder of Indian Girls Book Club. If you'd like, you could introduce yourself to all of us this afternoon.
Sure. Yat Kinsale Drake nishe nat od ne tratina nishle bilagana bashishchi ashihadashache bilagana dashanale akut ego atsana nishle. Hi, my name is Kinsale Drake, and I'm the founder and director of Indian Girls Book Club, which is a Native-run literary organization. We send free books out to Native youth. We send books out to tribal libraries. We also do book drops. We host fun pop-ups, we make cute merch, and we basically just share a love for Native literature on all fronts. And we do a lot of work engaging our communities and getting them excited to read books by Native authors.
Wow, that is amazing. And I'm so happy for all the youth that get the opportunity to read amazing books by Native authors because of your projects, your organizations. So tell me a bit about where you're based out of and who your team is.
Right now, I'm based out of Nashville, Tennessee, because I'm a grad student currently, but a lot of the folks who work with Book Club are also actually students. So we have our youth writing mentor, Pate Sangwi, Little White Man, who's based out of Pine Ridge, South Dakota. We have Lily Painter, who is my co-coordinator, who does all the amazing graphics on our social media, and she's based out of Anadarko, Oklahoma. She's also a student at OU. We have Ba, who is our incredible intern, who is based out of the Navajo Nation, and she's also a student. And then we have like community partners that are from all over, but we have a lot of my close friends who are specifically Dene or creatives based in the Southwest, I think is like the biggest network that I have personally, but really we are connected all across Indian country.
How did you get
Awesome.
started? What was the vision, and how did you make it happen? So when I first met you, it was you were like getting started with as a poet and getting more and more accolades or awards, starting to get awards, and that was even before the Indian Book Girls Book Club. But tell us how you got started. What was this big vision and dream, and how did you make it happen?
Yeah, so I grew up, this was like late in my teens. I was a youth poet, and was I had an experience, I think, navigating those spaces of being like the first or like the only Native in those spaces. And it was a really lonely experience. And when I did find my community and I found other Indigenous writers who were in those spaces, it was really a moment of like, wow, there's so much here, and there's such a change when we have community and we have, other Native women I was in conversation with who were being really supportive. And I went to college and I was studying how to retain Native students in higher education, because Native students have some of the lowest retention rates in the nation when it comes to higher education. And I had an idea as a little girl. I really wanted like a book club or like, a group to be a part of, to belong to, that would nerd out about certain things that I was really interested in. And then going to college, I started thinking like, what if there was like a program or something that would be really helpful for students who are into literature and the arts and creative writing specifically? Like, what would that look like? And so pulling from my own experience navigating the publishing world, plus, my experience in conversations talking with other Native authors that I got to know, that was where Indian Girls Book Club came from. And I also had 7 years of experience teaching poetry workshops and art workshops with youth. So it was really kind of everything coming together. And then First Peoples Fund was our beginning grant for all of this. And I just started sending out care packages, which were like Native books and cute little goodies. I always wanted to be a visual artist, so I liked to draw growing up, and so I started designing our own merch. I still design most of our own merch. And I think the feedback was just something that blew me away, because to me it was like, okay, I'm just going to do this until the project funding runs out. Like, I'm just going to send out care packages and I'm going to promote Native literature and I'm going to do what I love. And like, if people like it, then, that's great. And people did really like it. Like, there was great feedback, people like older women, Native women coming and being like, I've never seen something like this before. I wish I had this when I was a little girl. And then there was greater demand for workshops and in-person events. And it's kind of just been a whirlwind since then. And we've been able to partner with different organizations and get a lot more funding. And we've been getting into grant writing. So really, I think it started as something that just felt very meaningful to me, that genuinely was something that I was enjoying doing in my free time as a student. And now it's definitely much bigger than just my project. It's like a heart work from a number of people who have this passion and this care for getting accurate Native stories out there and getting resources to writers and storytellers, especially our youth.
Wow. That is amazing. Your journey is incredible, and the reach you were able to get nationwide and beyond, I mean, is just it's so mind-boggling that how well social media reach and everything, your merch and all of that, all your efforts, they all are seen and heard and everything. And two, I commend you on being a grad student. I'm a grad student as well, and it is so hard. But tell me about one thing that you love to do for yourself, to help to self-care or something along the lines of that between your school and Indian Girls Book Club.
That's a really important thing to share, because I'm a perfectionist and I've always been somebody who doesn't put myself first. And I think that works, that works in my favor in the professional sphere, wanting to serve others and show up for my community in reciprocal ways. But it's like reciprocity goes both ways. Like, I have to take care of myself too. And I think one thing is like, getting out and going on walks is something that seems really simple, but like, even as a writer, as a poet, like, I don't have anything to write about if I'm not spending time, like, in nature and, rooting myself and being grateful and having those moments every day. I also have a cat, and like, she actually is really great for keeping me present. Like, she'll get me to like take breaks and play, cooking for myself and getting back into like Native food ways and being really purposeful about what I'm cooking. I've been really enjoying reading Well for Culture's book, which is all about taking care of ourselves and our bodies in holistic ways that are informed by Indigenous methodologies. So I think those are the main things that I've really been thinking about, which are just, like exercise, fresh air, connecting, having good thoughts, eating good food, feeling nourished. That really does make a difference. And it allows me to keep doing the work that I'm doing.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. It's purposefully filling ourselves and nourishing. And I think about as the power of the pen, that also nourishes us. There's power. There's power in being able to, have access to Indigenous worldview from, many people from across, the nation. And also too, just, feeling that validation and knowing that we as, Native women are hearing and supporting one another. You have a brand new book out. Tell us about your book.
Yeah, my book is The Sky Was Once a Dark Blanket, and it's my first book. It won the National Poetry Series, so it was published through the National Poetry Series, and it just came out in mid-September. So I'm also touring, um, going and doing readings and sharing poetry and sharing stories, and that's a very, I think, healing and open experience for me. And to be able to connect with students specifically or young people with words, it is something that I don't think I could live without. So it's really, I think, a balance I'm finding as an author and also as somebody doing work that is not, it's not writing specifically, but it's also like by reading and uplifting other authors and writers, I'm also like feeding my inspiration, and I'm also like engaging in these conversations across generations that help me write more. So I'm excited to, continue reading and touring, and that book it is one of my favorite projects that I've written, and it holds a lot of memory and a lot of really important stories to me. So there's music in there, there's, stories from my childhood, it engages with creation stories, it confronts anthropological histories of Native peoples, which, I think my writing and a lot of other Native writers are doing with accurate storytelling, as they're confronting inaccurate portrayals of Native peoples. Um, yeah, I like being funny too in the poem. So I think humor on the page is really important as well.
And so if folks want to find your book, where do they go? Where can they learn more?
Yeah, you can buy my book anywhere that you get books. I would suggest getting it from an Indigenous bookseller if you can. So Birch Bark Books, Iron Dog Books, Black Walnut Books, Palabras Bookstore, Quiet Quail Books, Green Feather Books. You can order it from any of these or request them, or you can call and request it at your local library if you have a library near you. Um, and if you order it on University of Georgia Press's website as well, you can get a copy through that. But if you're looking for any Native books, or if you want to support Native authors, look to Indigenous booksellers first and foremost, support the work that they're doing, support an indie bookseller, and do all that before you hop on Amazon. That's what I'll say.
Good advice. And what about learning more about Indian Girls Book Club? Is there a website?
Yeah, you can learn more about Indian Girls Book Club at www.ndngirlsbookclub.org. You can find us on social media under NDN Girls Book Club, and we are constantly posting, so it's hard to miss us, but you can sign up for our newsletter. You can buy some merch when the merch drops again on November 7th, and keep up with us when we come to a reservation or a city or a library or a chapter house near you.
Thanks so much for sharing all of that. Again, go follow her pages, Instagram, Facebook, all of that. I love, love, love your posts, and even your personal Instagram. I mean, you're just an incredible human being, and I just love it when we get to see each other in person, and just like you're so pretty and talented, just everything you do, and I'm so grateful that you're able to join us today, and keep up with what you're doing online, and I also look forward to your book. So again, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. And I appreciate what you all are doing too. And I see you all out there doing good work for our communities. And Tiana, you're a great role model for our youth. So I'm really happy that we're all able to do this work together.
Thank you.
Thanks. Now joining us, we have Natalie Stites Means from the Coup Council out of Rapid City, South Dakota. Welcome, Natalie.
Hi, Tiana. Hi, Gina. It's good to be here.
Natalie, can you introduce yourself and tell the folks who are watching today a little bit about yourself and your background?
Sure. My name is Natalie Stites Means. I am the executive director for the Coup Council. I've been working about a year and a half in that role. And previous to that, I've been organizing with a group of Lakota women and Two-Spirit people here in Rapid City, South Dakota. Um, I'm a member of the Cheyenne River Sioux tribe. I am also Dakota from Crow Creek. I have been living and working for my people since 2009. Before that, I attended law school and I clerked for the Ho-Chunk Nation and had prepared for a career in legal advocacy. However, my journey changed and now I find myself leading around nonprofit organizations, community organizing, and advocacy for people, especially here in South Dakota and in Rapid City, where there are thousands and thousands of us who have been rendered voiceless by a lot of different social conditions, economic conditions, political conditions, all of which we hope to change and impact and move forward, you know, move forward in a good way. Our organization's mission is to retain Lakota culture, to build collective power, and to bring justice and healing to the Oceti-Sakowin territory, the heart here in the Black Hills. Our broad mission allows us to do a lot of really good things for our community around advocacy, civic engagement, racial justice, and housing justice, which has been a really strong focus of ours. We include work around tenant rights, and we hope to continue to purchase properties to help provide non-traditional Indigenous housing cooperative living for our community. In the next year, we see, or our vision is to be happy, housed, and healed into the future for our people. We are very concerned about the next generation and a succession of leadership. I myself am 48 years old, and it's important that to link the women who we organize with and who are part of our community, who often head up households and Tioshpae and Tuahe families and extended families, to link that with our next generation. Our vision is to be happy, healed, and housed into the future. Our next project, after we help turn out the Native vote here in South Dakota, we hope to engage in a new capital campaign to acquire new resources and assets for our organization that is led by women and Two-Spirit people. And we also hope to engage in the building of the new women's prison here in Rapid City. The great amount of resources have been devoted to this prison that is going to be built in our community.
Natalie, tell us about how this prison has come about.
Sure. Well, Indigenous women and girls have been incarcerated, mass incarcerated to extreme degrees statistically. That's what the data is telling us. And then, in terms of the experiences of Indigenous women and girls being criminalized here in South Dakota by the courts, by the legal system, with very little access to legal services and to other services that might prevent this type of criminalization of our young women, really, There's also some structural and policy type of shortcomings in South Dakota. For instance, this state felonizes, it turns regular drug ingestion into a felony, where in other states and jurisdictions, it's a misdemeanor. And so basically criminalizing people with behavioral health addiction type of issues with very little services through healthcare or through mental health services. And instead, what's accessible is the policing and the court system. And so there's the women's prison that exists now in Pierre is severely overcrowded, and it's roughly over 60% Indigenous women who are not violent offenders. They are nonviolent offenders relating to substances that are illegal. And so the overcrowding of, having 3-person cells with 9 women in them, it does justify a better environment that is not overcrowded and not inhumane for our Indigenous women. So this other women's prison has been proposed. However, it is larger. They are building a nursery, and the public policy and the trends all point to the fact that they're going to fill that prison with our people, with our Indigenous young women. I'm 48. I'm not a target for that system. I am not vulnerable to thankfully at this time in my life, to drug addiction or being criminalized by that system. But even myself, the other day I was arrested for a traffic ticket, and there is that excessive use of or abuse of discretion on the front line of our community and our engagement with the police that can lead to disastrous consequences for your average Lakota girl and your average Lakota woman, young woman here in Rapid City and in South Dakota. I'm very concerned that instead of healthcare, that our community is going to be getting, the only healthcare they're going to be able to get is within that prison system right now. So this for us, it's an alarming situation, and we hope to tackle this issue in the coming year. We believe in centering and amplifying Lakota women and girls in their leadership and two-spirit. And so we're going to do that and advocate in the best way we can for our community to not be trapped, because it's a trap. There's that slang of the trap house, right? Well, the prison and the jail, the police, that's all trap house too. And we got to make sure that our girls and women have the tools to navigate that and not get trapped.
Mhm. Yeah, that's really scary to know that more prisons are being built, and specifically women, knowing our disproportionality to be incarcerated it's a crisis in its own that is not highly talked about. And so I'm so grateful to you to be able to lift that issue up and to share about it, because I think there's a lot of allies out there who will be willing to be that voice as well and to stand with you, especially, and that's happening right in your community. That is just, it's devastating. It's devastating, to learn about and to hear about. And I'm just so grateful for you to uplift this issue. Is there any other issue that you want to share briefly about today?
I think it's just important that we use our culture, our thought and philosophy and all that we do, and and conceive ourselves as all part of our circle, our hochoka, and everyone has a place and role in that, rather than seeing it as, a triangle, a hierarchy, or someone on top. And in the Washichu or Western way of thought and philosophy, our theory of leadership is that everyone is a leader because you have to lead your life, and then you lead your family, then you lead your community. So it's not, all of us have an obligation to do something, and we are doing those things. And I think, mothers, unchis, aunties hold the keys to leadership in our community, and we need to support that most of all. So I'm really grateful for the work that you do to uplift all of us, us women who are holding it down for our families and our communities, and because our men and boys are under great attack as well. And it's often us who pay the cost for that. But there's an issue of balance. So we're all in that circle, and our thought and philosophy has to guide us, especially around compassion and generosity. Sometimes people get frustrated and they're like, when are they going to learn? Or, hey, some people aren't going to learn some lessons, and we have to take care of them too.
That's true.
Well, thanks so much for sharing that. It is an honor to share space with you today. And I love what you do. Everything from even into Indian tacos, craft fairs, and bringing the people together in different ways, and even like helping sponsoring events. I know that that you help sponsor different amazing things in the community and give back as well. And where can people follow what you do? Do you have a website? Do you have a social media platform for your page or anything?
We have a website, www.coupcouncil.org, and it's COUP. So COUP, but we pronounce it in the French, coup. And we also have a strong presence on Facebook under Coup Council. You can find us. We have less of a presence on Instagram, and I'm hoping some of our younger women will get our presence on YouTube and TikTok going. But for now, we are definitely accessible. And we're definitely willing to talk with about the issues facing the Ocheti Shakome, especially Lakota girls and women here in Rapid City.
Awesome. Well, okay, well, Pilatanka, Ichicha, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you again for being with us today.
Yay, thank you. Both of you are wonderful women leaders, examples that everyone needs to see. So whatever I can do to uplift your work and continue to collaborate and partner with each other, I want to do that.
Oh, thank you. Have a great day. Hi, Ruth Anna. I'm so glad you're here with me today to be able to share a little bit about yourself as an inspirational person on our Warrior Women Wednesday series. To kick off, can I ask you just to introduce yourself and share a little bit about your path and journey to be a voice? Because that's one of the things that when you look across the nation at inspirational Native women, you're one of the people that we think of. And, you know, it takes courage to do a lot of things that you've done. And you're landed in a new place, and we're excited to hear about that as well.
Matzigidads, Dosha, Madashi, Mia Adashheads, Mabe Sigids, Madzigidads, Nakbaga. I'm Ruth Buffalo, and I'm originally from Mandaree, North Dakota. I'm an enrolled citizen of the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Rikra Nation. And yeah, it's good to be here with you. So thank you so much for the invite.
Yeah. So, what in your life has inspired you to take the path and journey that you've been on?
Gosh, I think I would say my mother, you know, growing up being raised by a single mom, just the example she showed to all of us and is still with us here today, and we're so thankful. But I just think of her as like the strong pillar within our family, but also the strength that she has shown to us, and also the humility. But yeah, so I would say it starts with my mom.
Mm. And, you know, right now, you know, this is a time where Native Americans are getting activated to be a voice, you know, by standing up for, you know, their communities, but also using their voice, you know, to build power. And tell us a little bit about, you know, why you wanted to be a voice.
Gosh, I think it just really stems from my upbringing, you know, growing up in a small rural tribal community in Western North Dakota, being raised by a single mom, but a strong, you know, Hidatsa Mandan woman. She is and continues to be, just really, I think, shaped my worldview and my trajectory, because just seeing things too, you know, always being in spaces where where a lot of our values, I feel, were front and center. And just growing up hearing a lot of the stories of my grandparents, my mom's parents, who I, you know, unfortunately didn't get to meet because they passed away before I was born, a year before I was born, and then 6 months before I was born. And so always really wishing that I could have met them, because they just sounded like great people and good-hearted people and very humble. And so I think of the wisdom that my mom has shared or passed on to us kids, you know, through her stories that she would always share of my grandparents. And also, you know, the struggle, but that they endured and overcame. But I believe it also, you know, shortened their life expectancy with the different life events that they experienced during their time. And so it's being a big sister also, you know, and matrilineal people or peoples, I think, is sort of inherently ingrained in a lot of us big sisters out there, you know, who want to stand up for what's right or protect our younger siblings and sometimes our older siblings and family members, you know. So I think it's just kind of goes back to the family values that I was raised with.
Yes. And in your lifetime, you've done a lot of things. I know that you've been involved with like the boarding school healing coalition, and what was your call for that? And is that something, I mean, we just had the big news about the apology. What are your thoughts about that?
Yes, thank you. Gosh, I remember back in October of 2018, I was elected on board with a slate of other candidates or board members, and we were elected on formally at the Carlisle, Pennsylvania convening. I believe it was the first annual healing summit that was just so happened to be held out at Carlisle. And so it was a powerful time to visit the cemetery and see, you know, the relatives. So it was really just really heartfelt and heavy. But so yeah, that's when I joined NABS, the National Native American Boarding School Healing Coalition. My grandparents, my mom, both, you know, were sent, both generations were sent to boarding school. And I later attended different boarding schools as well, a Catholic and a Lutheran one. But yeah, I think of it quite frequently of the life expectancy shortened in a lot of ways that comes back to boarding schools, you know, those harmful federal policies. And so, yeah, I think of my grandparents a lot, and how we sort of were robbed, you know, in a sense from growing up with their love and nurturing care. And so that was, you know, transcended through stories, you know, and through a lot of my grandparents' friends and relatives. And we have, you know, a clanship system through our tribal nation. And so that also provides a additional support system for us. And so I'm really thankful for the systems that were in place or left behind for us by, you know, the ancestors and our all of our relatives. So so yeah, I think what happened recently with the apology from President Joe Biden was it was good. You know, it was a good first step. And I remember sharing in one of the local interviews in Fargo that, you know, I actually felt seen. You know, I felt seen, you know, because we had tried to introduce legislation at the state level in 2021, and it was a temporary truth and healing commission, but it was basically dead on arrival, you know, based off of the political landscape. And but it, yeah, so that was an interesting endeavor. However, some of the comments in the hearing were much of the same, you know, of when will they get over it, you know. And so I definitely felt seen because, you know, we've often felt and will say, like, you know, our own country doesn't acknowledge this atrocity. And, you know, when you think back to the work that has been done, you know, by a lot of people who have gone before us, you know, internationally, like say, for example, at the United Nations and with the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, and how United States wasn't on board with, you know, signing on to that. And so until later, you know, and the three countries that have large Indigenous populations didn't sign on to UNDRIP, you know, at the beginning, but years later they did, you know. So it's quite telling, I would say, but I think it's a good step in the right direction. And being there, it was really heavy because I felt, you know, I wasn't feeling well, but I kind of nursed myself back to health enough to travel. And it just was a heavy day. And I really felt like you could feel the ancestors there, and all of our relatives, you know, and those that weren't able to live long enough to see a United States president offer an apology for harmful federal policies such as the boarding schools.
Yeah, no, it definitely is a first great step in the right direction. When I look at other countries, I feel like we have a long way to go. We really do.
Yes, agree. Yeah.
What would you say to younger Native women who are thinking about being a voice, like in their states? What advice would you give them? Because you've taken a journey, and it takes courage to do so, and a lot of preparations as well.
Yes, for sure. I feel like sometimes we maybe have, without realizing it, prepared, our entire lives for things that we encounter. And I remember even being in grad school for public health, and our instructor had shared this really profound statement to all of us, and he said, "Poor health is a result of poor policy." And we were all like, what? Like, I mean, it was things you knew, but it just was like to hear it, being said from one of our instructors. And then when you dive deep, I remember being a part of a new Women's Leadership Institute in the Fargo-Moorhead area in like 2011. And it was such an empowering time where they, empowered women to create change in whichever level you wish to, if it was behind the scenes supporting a candidate, or some sort of, if it's like a community initiative or running for office, and so in that endeavor, attending the New Women's Leadership Institute, we learned of the huge disparities of representation with women, and the lack of parity. And so when you think of who's making these policies, and when is it reflective of the communities that are being directly impacted, it's a lot it's an eye-opening experience. And then realizing that what the steps are to become a policymaker or a lawmaker. And then it's really, I think, just opening the floodgates to sharing information to everybody, that everybody should have this information, and it should be second nature, on how to vote, how to run for office, how to be in those spaces, and to show up, because every single person in those positions work for us, the people. And so never never feel intimidated or feel like you don't belong in those spaces, because you sure do. And the ancestors and all of us are behind you.
Love it. Thank you. And what about now? What are you up to these days?
Oh gosh, I'm in Minneapolis right now. I started a new position, accepted a new position with the Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center. I've been here since March 4th, 2024, and it's been an amazing journey so far. The staff here are amazing, and Minnesota Indian Women's Resource Center just celebrated our 40th year of existence in serving the community. We focus, primarily on serving American Indian women and families, but we never turn anyone away. And yeah, we're located right here in the East Phillips neighborhood, between Franklin and Lake Street, and right off of Bloomington Avenue. So we're right in the heart of, I would say, the Native community in South Minneapolis.
Great. And if someone wants to learn more about the organization, is there a website they can go to?
Yes, miwrc.org.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming and sharing with us today, and look forward to talking again sometime soon, and connecting and collaborating. And I just want to tell you that you are a bright light in the world. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Madzagidads. Likewise. Thank you.
Haley, so glad you're here with us today. I'm so excited to be able to hear about what you're doing, and to learn more about the awesome projects and work that you're doing today. I'll go ahead and just ask for you to introduce yourself.
Well, hello. It's good to be here with you today. Yate. I am Haley Laughter. I'm Daneth, and I am from Salt Lake City, Utah. And my clans are Haley Laughter, Yunishnip, Ahne Nishlan, Toto China, Bashish Chain, the Best Legini, Adashache, and Tachi, Adashana. So for all my Navajo viewers, I know my clans. I have been practicing yoga for about 2 decades now, and I started this journey just out of curiosity, and my first class was a hot yoga class. in that hot yoga class, it was really intense. So the temperature was 105 and 35% humidity, 90 minutes long, and it was so challenging. I After my first class, I fell in love with it. It was like I was releasing a lot of emotion, what they call the issues in the tissues per se. But it was something that really I felt cleansed me. And when I started to articulate what it felt like, I would say like sweat lodge, because I was at that moment, exerting my energy in a different kind of way and deeply into my muscles and into my tissues and then challenging my mind. And, so I've been practicing for 2 decades. I started Hojo Total Wellness. When I say we, I talk about me and Anita, who was with me at the time. We started the first International Yoga Day in Monument Valley for 2016 and 17. And we had over 100 individuals, natives, come out. And that started from me posting on social media about what I was doing. Yoga wasn't something that was really popular. It was more deemed as something like a white rich woman would participate in, or someone had to be flexible, or they had to be, strong in order to participate in yoga. Um, and so I, started posting pictures with my Navajo hair bun and also my moccasins on social media, different groups and sites that I was participating in. And from there, my following grew. And it was really awesome because I started delving into my culture and into ceremony and into different aspects of what it meant to be a Diné woman. And from there, I started connecting the indigenous philosophies with the yogic philosophies and realized that, we're the yogis on this side of the world. Really, they have, like in India, they have creation stories. They have also different, the idea of like oneness, that we are one with nature. So the same, like, I should say, similar concepts in the way that, the yogic world, or India, where yoga comes from, in the ancient texts that we have. Ours are oral stories, right? So we share these stories and these songs and the different things that we accumulate and these tools that we have. And I then began to indigenize yoga. So, and it became really awesome because more people were participating and, seeing not only like the benefits, but just understanding how good it felt to stretch and feel the body.
Mm. That's amazing. And also to hear like how, taking concepts that stereotypically we haven't been able to participate in and to bring that to Native communities. And really it's like that cross-cultural sharing. We've always done that as Indigenous people. So I love that.
Yeah, it's really it was something nobody was doing before, and it felt really good to use my creativity in
Mm.
order to bring forth something new and to drive like a movement of indigenous people practicing yoga. And I did get ill for a while and I had to step back, but then now I'm starting to feel better and really take care of myself, and heal. And that was part of my process, was, not just healing my body, but healing my mind.
Mm. When I think of yoga, I also think of like breathing, and I think of how important, breathing is and how healing breathing is. When I'm going through a tough situation, this is kind of silly. When I'm going through a tough situation, I think of like, well, if the yogis could lay on a bed of nails and they're going into a deep meditative state, whether that's prayer, breath work, I'm like, if they can do that, then I can do whatever's before me. I'm just going to take a deep breath. And if they can do that, then I can do whatever I'm facing as well. It's kind of silly, but I do think about that.
And let me tell you why, because when you inhale deeply, you are then creating a message to the central nervous system to calm yourself down. And breath is so important. I think that's one thing that we have lost, in today's society, it's so fast. And so as we get older, stress, tension, trauma, we just start to use part of the lungs. So we're always using like 1/3 of the lungs rather than as babies, we use the entire lung capacity. And so when we can breathe deeply, you're also calming the nervous system down, you're becoming aware. And if you take it like into indigenous philosophy, or specifically like my culture, Diné, is that the wind is the sacred breath. And we have a creation story that it comes down, life, our life force comes from the crown of our head when we're born, and it comes through our body and out our fingertips and our toes, and that's why we have fingerprints. And then we always have like an invisible feather on the top of our head that keeps us connected to the creator, and our feet on the earth. And so that wind is also not only just like the breath that we breathe and the breath of life, but it's also the words we speak and the songs that we use to heal. There's just so much connected to air, to breath. And so every time you breathe, it's so good, or you do a conscious breath, it's so good for your mind and your body.
Wow, that is so interesting. I learned so much just from that. I was wondering, could you take us through a breathing exercise really quick?
I also love that you mentioned singing, because Tiana is also a singer, and it's like that breathing, that singing. A lot of times I think about like kids who are just like, and I'm one of them. I was like jabberjaws, just talk, 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 talk. And but needing to hear the sound, and that was very comforting to me, even if I was the only one who's
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think we become disconnected because, we have to be quick on that email, or attend a meeting, or, we have to respond so quickly in today's technology that we forget these simple tools that we have within ourselves in order to heal and to bring us back to self. And with the breath, it's like you said, like you were jabbering, and you were talking a lot, or Tiana sings, and this is medicine. It's self-expression. And so when we take something as simple as the breath and create that connection to something bigger than us, it becomes a sacred movement. Anything that we do, taking the awareness and transmuting it into something beautiful. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, and I can take you through a breathing exercise just really quick. I think that the most important thing with breathing is learning how to inhale, hold it, and exhaling, being conscious, being aware of the breath, trying to take all the distractions out, and really coming into your center. So imagining at the top of your head and through your spine, just energy running through the top of your head, down your spine, and pulling that into your body and out. So if you just want to close your eyes, take a moment here. You might see, like lights, patterns. Relax your shoulders. Make your spine long. And inhale. Hold it. Exhale. Inhale. Hold it. Exhale. Two more. Inhale. Hold it. Exhale. Last one, make this your best breath. Inhale, fill your lungs all the way up and hold it. Relax the body, hold it. Now exhale. And slowly open your eyes. It's really just learning how to inhale, holding it, and exhaling.
Yeah, I love that. I feel so much more relaxed even now.
Right?
Yes, but there's one more thing I want to ask you about before we wrap up, and that is the yoga challenge to get out the
Yeah.
vote.
It's so fun. Right now, get out and vote. I think that is exactly what we're trying to promote is voting. Non-bipartisan. It doesn't matter who you're voting for. It just matters that you get out there to the polls and you vote. So the 5-day yoga challenge is just one asana a day. You participate by, doing the asana and then just posting a picture, tagging Return to the Heart and How's Your Total Wellness. And it's good because you're getting movement, you're doing an asana, you're participating, and more importantly, you're getting out there to vote.
And if
And
folks want to learn more about Hojo, where do they go?
they can just go to the Facebook page, which is Hojo Total Wellness. Right now, I think we have 109,000 followers. Instagram, I'm working on. I haven't worked on that for a while, but I think we have 11,600 followers. So much to do on that one, but it's really fun to be part of the community, being able to share positive, uplifting posts, and being able to promote other people. So yeah, I have a good time with it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and take care, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Return to the Heart. I really appreciate all the support and everything you're doing out there for our Indigenous women and children. I think it's wonderful.
Well, thank you all for tuning in for another wonderful Warrior Women Wednesday. I was so inspired and uplifted by all of the speakers today for this episode, and very grateful to be in the presence of these awesome warrior women. So now I will pass it on over to Calling All Crows Foundation.
Thank you so much, Tiana. Super, super, super grateful to be in partnership with Return to the Heart Foundation. Please check them out if you are not familiar with their work. There's tons of ways to support. And as well as Calling All Crows, if you want to head over to our socials and our website, you can learn more about what we do. If you missed the first episode of Warrior Women Wednesdays this year, those videos are always available to rewatch on our Facebook page. So go ahead and check the first one out if you haven't. Share it with anyone that you think might be inspired by the messages in that episode, as well as this one. And then you can join us for the next few Wednesdays in November. So I'll pass it over to Gina.
Yes, thank you, Annie. We are excited about our next episode coming up. It's going to be focused on missing and murdered Indigenous women. And Return to the Heart has a brand new fund that's open right now for applications for Native women-led organizations, grassroots organizations, and two-spirit, gender-expansive people to apply for, to disrupt this silent crisis. So please join us and learn more about it. And to learn more about Return to the Heart and the fund, please go to www.return2heart.org. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next Wednesday.